Hey guys, Dave Pearson here, Regional Educator for L'Oreal Professionnel. How many of you would like to learn a new trick? It's not a new trick for me, it may not be a new trick for you, but for some of you it might be, and those are the best learns of all, right? Is if maybe your coworkers are doing it, but you're not quite sure how to do it. What I'm going to be showing today is how to do a shadow root and some balayage pieces all at the same time. So this was a huge time saver for me when I was behind the chair, and I'm looking to help find you guys ways to work smarter and not harder. So let's get going. Okay, so in order to do a root shadow and balayage together, how I approached it was I always took a mohawk section. So I'm just finding out where her recession lives, trying to get to the peak of that recession. I'm just going to take my tail comb and rock it all the way back. Okay. Just remember the trick with the pointer finger and the pointer finger? Just draw that back. Somehow they find each other, always. It's remarkable. Alright, so I have one side of my mohawk now. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to find her recession, pointer finger, bring that all the way back. She's freshly shampooed, so, and just a little wet on the ends, but I gave her a rough dry. All right, so now I have my mohawk section. Just comb that out. And then you just want to make sure that you're getting all the way to the back of her head, right to the apex. We're not going to go below it. Going right to the tip of it. And I will show you in a second what that looks like. Whoa, lost the hair. Okay. So, now you gotta do is just manage this. Take your clip, just put this in a loose knot for now, and then we're gonna get started. All right, so I do a Zulu knot. I don't know what you call it, that's what I call it. That's how I learned it. But this is the parting. All right, so we're just taking a mohawk section, and it does go all the way to the apex of the head. So there's two approaches to it, which is how I used to do it, which was on the sides of the head, I would actually do a couple of diagonal back foils here, and typically I would put a low light in between them. So I'm looking to give my guest a little bit more dimension, and I want to tie in the shadow root also down here around her face as well. So that's why I always did at least one low light, just to make it unified. Today what we're going to use, I'm just going to concentrate on the top today. This is just going to be a quick tutorial for you. And so what we're going to do is we're going to root shadow this mohawk, and then within the mohawk I'm going to do some 3D painting with our new Blend Studio 9. And so what I'm using today is I'm going to be using Diorache. All right, I have a 6N Diorache. I'm using 9 volume. The choices with Diorache are either 9 or 15. You're going to choose 9 probably 90% of the time, and you're pulling out 15 when you have resistant white hair that's 30% or less, or you are looking to achieve 1.5 levels of lift. Okay, so I'm choosing 9. Mixed it up in my shaker. All right, if you haven't learned my trick about the shaker of tossing in an old cap to help you do your shake, it's super helpful, gets you a really nice mixture. I'm just going to scoop out the rest, so excuse me while I do that for a second. Don't want to waste the product, you know. And I am going to be using that as my bowl. I already have my Blend Studio Lightener mixed up as well. And I'm just going to grab my brushes, my beautiful L'Oreal brushes. One for the Dia and one for Blend Studio 9. So before I can actually get into the color service, you got to put your gloves on. All right, notice they're clear. They are clear because I will be eventually loading this video up to L'Oreal Access. I have a channel on L'Oreal Access, and in order for L'Oreal Professionnel to share videos from my channel, which is open for people to watch, but it's not broadcasted as open to all of the L'Oreal Access group. But if you follow some rules and use the right hashtags, plus using clear gloves, help you get your product uploaded to the channel for more people to be able to see. I'm just going to pin all of this out of the way. We are not going to be touching it. Not today anyway, but we may come back to this Ellie another day. So we're just going to pin that up. Right, nice and secure. And then what I'm going to do is now I can let this one down and hold that one in my hand. So now I'm going to take my Dia-Richesse, again 6N Dia-Richesse, and I'm just going to start to apply it right at the parting. Okay. I'm going to go around my part first. That's just how I'm going to start. You want to pay attention to how far up you're going. So we're doing a shadow root, so we don't want it to go too far. You know, we want it to stick close to the scalp. All right. So get all four sides here. All right, and notice I'm going up maybe about a ½ inch, the most for now. And then I'm going to get it around that hairline. Now, Ellie's lucky. We don't have any grays to worry about here. Or white hair. We don't have any of that to worry about. All right. So again, just applying that there. About a quarter to ½ inch up. Now, have a towel handy because I do want to take this off of her face. So we want to work neat always. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start in the back. So I'm just going to section this out a little bit so I have smaller amounts of hair to work with at a time. So I'm just taking about maybe an inch worth of hair and letting that drop. I'll show you that in a second. So again, just pinning this out of the way. And so here's my first section. It's about 1 inch in width. And so now what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to take my Dia-Richesse. And now, just make sure that part's on. I'm going to turn my brush this way, vertical, and I'm going to just feather it up into the hair about 1 inch, right? So I want to make sure I go around all sides of it. And then I'm going to take my, the end of my brush and scoop out about a ¼ inch section. I'm going to drop this out so I can paint the other side of this one. All right, I'm going to put it at the root like I did before, and then turn my brush vertical, and I'm just going to stroke it up, nice soft feathering, about 1 inch of the way up. All right, you do want to get good saturation, so we do want it to be evenly saturated and to look very even once it's finished. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop that piece. Okay. Now I'm going to take what's left over. And now this piece I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take more Dia-Richesse and apply it at the root just like I did before. All right. Now I'm turning my brush. Now I'm just going to feather that up again, about 1 inch. All right. We do want to go around all 3 sides. So you're thinking of these sections as 3D. So we're painting basically all 4 sides of it. All right, I'm going to bring this down. Just like I did before. And instead of feathering this part up a full inch like I did the previous one, I'm now going to take my Blonde Studio 9 lightener, and then I'm going to feather up with Blonde Studio 9. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just merging her root shadow into a lighter piece that we are 3D painting. So again, just feather that. You want still a good saturation. We still want it to get light. I'm using Blonde Studio 9 with 20 volume. All right, I'm not going for full, complete through saturation, so I'm still treating this as a balayage application, right? I'm still painting on the surface. All right, so see, still painting on the surface. I'll show you the back. Nothing's coming through, right? So it's still balayage application. And now what I'm gonna do is, even on those little sides, I'm gonna feather the lightener up on the sides. So that little side that's about 1/4 of an inch, I'm painting that side as well. Okay, and that's why it's 3D. We're gonna be painting all 3 sides of it. We're not gonna paint the back. We're only gonna paint the top and the sides. So you could paint the back if you wanted to, if you just wanted to get a lot of brightness, but what do we know about Blonde Studio 9? It's up to 9 levels of lift. It's really powerful. It's going to do its job really well for me. And unless I was enclosing this in foil or putting some sort of protective barrier underneath the section that I'm painting, to separate it so I don't get any bleed marks. By not painting the underside, I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I've painted 2 sections so far. One was the root section, about 1/4 inch square, where I just painted Dia Richesse around it. The next 1/4 inch section, I did the same thing. I painted Dia Richesse around the root, but I didn't bring the top up 1 inch. I then took Blonde Studio 9 from the area I put the Dia Richesse, and then I feathered in with the Blonde Studio 9. So we're doing 3D painting, all right? It's just a really quick way, especially if your guest has maybe some budget in mind. This is a good way to, take them into a spring look, to add a little bit of brightness around their face, at the top of their head. That doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money. All right. So again, I'm going to take this section and split it into the same 1/4 inch I did before. Dropping that down, now back into my Dia Richesse. Again, painting my root section like I did previously. Getting all around that. All right, taking my brush vertically now and pushing some of that color about 1 inch down. Or 1 inch up, rather. Okay, and we're just gonna drop that one and lay it lightly over the previous piece. Then you take the second and you just repeat again. Again, we're working in a pattern. So we're doing root with Dia Richesse all the way around all the sections, so we get a nice shadow. And then we're doing Blonde Studio 9 on every other section, which is going to give her a nice bright halo at the top. All right, and then again on the bottom, I do want to do the inch on the bottom and those sides. But on the front side, I'm again not going to go that full inch up. I'm going to go back to my Blonde Studio 9 and just continue to work that in vertically, feathering it. Right, I'm just blending it into slightly where the Dia Richesse is. The Blonde Studio 9 will go through it. But our idea is to make it look very natural and grown out. So that's why you're doing the feathering. It's a very gentle action. And again, we're not fully saturating, we're not going all the way through the hair, we're still only surface painting. again like before. We're also going to make sure that we're painting those side areas so we get that 3D effect. All right, never fear, the back of your brush works wonders. All right, we are finished with this. So it's de Richesse, so it's going to process about 20 minutes for that piece. I'm going to take a look at 20 minutes to see how the Blonde Studio 9 is developing. Blonde Studio 9 has a catalyst that happens once you mix the developer into the powder, so we get an accelerated lightning, a fast kickoff, and typically you're seeing about 4 levels of lift in around 10 minutes. So I'm thinking the 20 minutes should be perfect for what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve today. And so, okay, so this is Ellie. She's done. This is what she looks like with her mohawk of Shadowroot and hand painting with Blonde Studio 9. Thanks again. I'd love to hear from you on this technique. I'd love to hear from you on what else you're looking forward to hearing about from L'Oreal Professional, techniques, tips, and tricks. Any of the above, we'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. So that is your call to action. Let us know what you're wanting to see, and we will do our best to see if we can get that. All right, you guys have an amazing day, and take care. Until next time.